Thank you for joining Tyromper's No Limit podcast, episode number 15. Boys and girls, I'm always fired up, but today we have the most special guest of all time. She is joining us for her first ever podcast, her debut. Someday she's going to be reaching millions. She's already reaching millions. Someday she's going to be reaching billions, I believe. But this is a young woman with an incredible and inspiring story that I cannot wait for her to share with you guys today. This is a young woman that in 1 minute, meeting her and lifting with her, she tweaked my form and made me such a better lifter. I'll get into that later. A young woman that lost her mom early in life to addiction and mental illness, never met her dad, was adopted, has not only overcome all these things, but has grown through them, now leads, coaches, and inspires tens of thousands of others all across the world. A young woman I'm honored to just call a great friend. Miss Kelly Flynn, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Ty. I just want to start out seriously, thank you so much for having me on. I know we literally just talked about this, but just having this be my first podcast, I was like, hell yes. I'm so pumped. So thank you so much for having me on. It really means a lot.
Truly honored to have you here. You're just somebody that, I got to meet in person 8 or 9 months ago. You just radiate energy. You radiate life. I love you and Joey. You're literally two of my favorite people on earth. I feel like I pray for you guys every day.
Oh,
and I know you guys are going to do huge things. So for anybody that might not know you, since this is your first pod, could you just give a brief intro, 3-minute introduction about yourself?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, you did a pretty great job, but yeah. Okay, guys. So I grew up with a very interesting home dynamic. My mom, so I've never met my biological dad. My mom met my current dad, or I say quote unquote, my adopted dad, when she was pregnant with me. And he really kind of took care of me. My mom got into some hard drugs. She went from smoking weed to then she got into spice, which really messed her up mentally. And then she started getting into methamphetamine and all that. And this was, mind you, this was all in the house while I was growing up. And my dad really did just an amazing job taking care of me, getting full custody of me, spending just years of his life building a case to where he was able to get full custody of me and, no longer have my mom part of my life, because some of the stories I could share about just this home life with her. And my dad, he adopted me and then he fought in court for 5 years, just the most miserable days of his life. He fought for 5 years, keeping notebooks and diaries of everything I was doing, just building a case, then get full custody. And this is all last time I saw my mom was about the 7th grade. So that was that. I never saw my mom since the 7th grade. And then I really kind of got into softball. Thankfully, I found sports super young, and that saved me from a bunch of trouble. My dad hired a strength and conditioning coach for me to train for softball. And that's really when the tables kind of turned. I started loving softball loving the gym more than I did with softball. And despite me saying that, I still went and played softball at UCLA. So I committed to UCLA my freshman year of high school, which is insanely early. I don't recommend that, but went on to play a year of softball at UCLA, realized that just wasn't for me. I loved the gym. I loved fitness. I would much rather be in the gym than on the softball field. So realized I should just follow that passion, let God take me there. So got into, went back to ASU, started up training, and now I'm an online coach. I'm an in-person coach working with women. I love working with women. Just, I know the way it transformed my life. So I just love working with women and helping them transform their life through health and fitness. You know how important it is.
Oh, it's everything. Well, that's beautiful and a lot to unpack there. I really appreciate you sharing and opening up. I think, the first thing I think of there is just, we're fostering children now too. And so I see some of that environment and how rough that is on kids. And when you can pull them out of that and then give them a good shot, that's everything. So kudos to your dad. I've talked to your fiance, Joey, a little bit about your dad. And
without my dad, I would just be in some random guy's apartment, who knows where, you know what I'm saying? And without my dad, no way I would have been able to go to UCLA. No way I would, I've met Joey so just, I have immense gratitude for my dad. He is unreal what he did.
Dads matter. Every guy out there watching this, man. That's
strong dad, strong daughter. Strong dad, strong daughter. Seriously, Ty. And I see the way you work with your daughter, and it's just incredible to watch.
There's no better gift, man. It's my life just changed so much the day she was born. I could talk about that forever. She just changed my life in every great way. And I'm sure your dad felt the same. They first saw you. It's everything.
It's like the purpose.
So again, a lot to unpack. Do you mind starting maybe like your childhood and growing up? Some of those lessons, how I guess you kind of learned how to fill your own cup, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely learned one of the biggest takeaways. I think it's so important to just have perspective on it all. I think a lot of people, they fall victim to their childhood, or like, this happened to me, or, just fall victim to their circumstances, whatever that is. Like, you don't grow up without money, you grow up without a dad, you grow up without a mom, but if you can pull away if you can use it to make you a better person and to just take some takeaways from that. My biggest takeaway was just independence and solitude. I spent a lot of time growing up alone. I went from a family of 4 to a family of 2 within a matter of, couple months, couple weeks, honestly. So I just really learned to just enjoy my own independence and solitude. So that's something why I'm so grateful. Without those hardships, I would never be who I am today. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, if you can just spin those negatives and turn them into your strengths and just allow them to teach you something, I think that's what you have to do. There's no other way. You can't just go through it being a victim or letting it conquer you, because then, you're just always never going to find fulfillment.
Yeah, I think that's so well said. My dad always had this saying. I remember I made an out early, like when I was in like 5 or 6 years old, I made an out in baseball and I started crying. And I remember my dad pulling me aside and he goes, "Ty, you're either a victim or you're a victor. And it's your choice every day," and that's stuck with me, that we all have that choice. And that was something silly, like an out in baseball. But
Yeah.
for you to really kind of decide that so young, was there a particular moment in your childhood or a particular moment where you can really turn back to and say, you know what, I'm going to use this to grow through it? Because I do see a lot of people in their adulthood that bring these problems and they blame everything they might do on that. So was there a moment, or a kind of, maybe you could share with other people how you've turned your mindset towards that?
I mean, with my mom, I'll share a specific story. Okay, there's one story that just really sticks out to me. I feel like my childhood was kind of traumatic, so I blurred a lot of it out. But there's one story. I was going to the movies with my mom and we were on our way home and she was driving a little bit recklessly. And I was like, "Whoa, mom, like slow down." You know what I'm saying? And 2 seconds later, sirens on around, like right behind us. She gets pulled over. We pull into this little, parking garage. Turns out there's a warrant out for her arrest. So all of a sudden I'm this 11-year-old, 12-year-old maybe, and my mom's getting thrown in the back of a cop car. And I'm just
watching this.
There's a warrant out for my arrest. My mom's just like screaming with her hands tied in the back of the cop car. And I have to call my dad to come pick me up. And I'm just like numb. And I'm just like, what is going on? And she's just like screaming for me to help her. And it's kind of in that moment I realized, like, I can't help her. Like, I spent so long being the parent to her. I had to learn to be the parent. I was the one taking care of her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it just kind of like hit me, like, I can't save you. I can only take what I've learned and how you've taught me not to mother and use that to be the best mother. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like one story that's really just stuck to me, like I have to just use this and make it to my advantage, like she might not have been the best mother, but I can take those lessons and become the best mother,
So awesome. And chain breaker, like you're breaking those generational curses. Cynthia Thurlow talks a lot about that. My dad talks a lot about that, how you can choose to not continue those cycles and those patterns. And it's just so beautiful that, I say to you and Joey all the time, I can't wait for you guys to have a boatload of kids, man. You guys are
Me too. It was like Christmas morning. And I was like, dang, I can't wait for kids to be running around. It's so quiet.
Yeah. It's pretty fun in time. You just have the dog until then, right?
Yeah. But I just spent a lot of time. I realized, like, I just have to do it myself. Like, no one's coming to save me. I have to do it myself. And it goes for everyone. Like, no one's coming to save you. You have to decide that you're going to pull yourself out and get yourself where you want to be by yourself.
Man, that's super powerful. And for you to have that realization at such a young age, that's so powerful. And then the things that I see you doing now are just, living on mission, intent. It's pretty awesome. So can we talk a little about going then? You get this full ride to UCLA, go play softball. It's one of the best softball programs in the country, right?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
So you go and play that. Can you talk to us a little about your college experience, and then what led to that decision then to kind of forgo that?
Oh man. Okay. So I've been playing softball forever. Like, I committed to it so young, and the whole recruiting process for softball, when I was playing, they changed it now, but it was just so young. I had there were girls going on unofficial visits in like 6th grade. I was like, this is crazy. But I know. I was there. It's nuts. But anyways, I committed my freshman year of high school. So right out of the gate, I was just stuck to a sport. It turned from a sport to like a job. And for me, it was just a job I wasn't passionate about. I was good at it. I was good at it, but it just like wasn't where my heart was at, you know? And so it just didn't translate. It ended up like the longer I went, kind of my junior, senior year, I was just so burnt out. And it just started to show that my love wasn't in it anymore. And I was just like, it turned in, I wasn't as good as I was because my heart wasn't there. I didn't want to be out on the field like I did want to be out in the gym, you know? And so I still made the decision like, okay, I'm going to go to UCLA, try it out, give it all I've got, maybe see if I can turn things around. And honestly, if you're playing at that high of a level and you're not all in, it's going to destroy you. And I hit rock bottom when I was at UCLA. It was the most pivotal year for me, but it was one of the lowest years for me. It was really hard on me mentally. I remember it was just so out of alignment for me. I mean, for me, I was just so independent and I just love to be by myself and do my own thing. And it just felt like I was like a slave to an agenda. You were told what to wear, where to be every single time of the day. Like, so you're like a robot. And even the gym wasn't my outlet anymore. We would go to weights and I just remember like crying in the bathroom, just like, this isn't me. Like, this isn't me, you know, like being on the field and outfield, like catching fly balls with my sunglasses on, like just with tears running down my face. And I was like, just walking to math class. I had 8 a.m. math class. And that was like the best time of my day walking to math, just because it was just, no one was awake. It was just my solitude. I didn't have to report to anyone, but I just remember waking up and be like, wow, like I have everything right now, but it's just, I've never felt emptier. And it actually hit me. The reason when I decided to quit was after I came home to Arizona for winter break. And then when I went back, the day I went back, I just had the most crippling anxiety and just breakdown. That night that I went to bed, I woke up at 3 a.m. and it was my first encounter with God, what I believe was God at that moment. He woke me up at 3 a.m. and he gave me this vision of my life without the sport. Kind of gets me emotional. Sorry. He gave me this vision of my life without the sport. And so long I attached my identity to the sport and I was holding on to it because I didn't know who I was without softball. But in that moment, he just assured me that it was going to be okay. And it's okay to not be who you once were. You know, I was a softball player, but I just was no longer a softball player. And in that moment, he just told me that that's okay, you know? And so I actually called my dad and he was awake just randomly. He was awake and he was just so supportive and just so understanding. It was just meant the world to me. So that's kind of that little story right there. That's and then awesome. A month later, 2 months later, I came back and we decided to stop.
And went to ASU. That takes a lot of courage, I think, when you do identify as that and you're told by coaches, by everybody that's probably important in your life, oh, you're great at this. This is what you're supposed to do. And then for you to kind of have that, I think I see a lot of people struggle with that too. Myself, even, you know, I played really high level poker for a long time. And then I just identified with that. That's what Tyler does. He's a poker player. And then, you know, start having a family and things like that. And you kind of lose yourself a little bit. And I think it takes a lot of courage to almost say, you know what, that was a season of my life. And now I'm okay to just be maybe mediocre at this thing or not, or just leave that where it was. And so good for you for having the courage to kind of make that decision. So
and it's like frowned upon to be a quitter. So, you know, I was just like, I toughed it out for so many years, you know, I don't want to be a quitter. But I just realized like, I'm not being a quitter. I'm just like putting my mental health first. And it's just not who I am anymore. And that's not quitting. That's strength right there, to know that you're stepping out into faith and doing what's scary.
That's awesome. One of the wisest men I've ever, probably my first mentor, is a preacher at Westside Christian Church. I talk about him all the time on the podcast. It just had a huge impact on my life. Eddie Lowen. He has this saying that, you know, life is full of seasons and that sometimes God's going to call you in a different direction or not. And you need to have that courage to say, I'm going to trust where he leads and where he puts that vision.
100%.
So, now you have that vision put on your heart, right? So you move back to Arizona. So can you walk us through kind of what happens then?
Yeah. So I moved back to Arizona and honestly, there was about a 6-month period where I went through a little identity crisis. I didn't know who I was without softball. You know, I didn't know how to like work out anymore. I didn't know how to like work out just for enjoyment. I had always been like training for something or training for a sport. So I had to really spend some time by myself, just re-identifying, relearning who I am, and just giving myself that grace to, like, I don't know, I don't have it all figured out. I don't know what my next steps are, but I'm gonna follow through and just know that I did the right thing, because I felt so much peace in my heart when I made that decision. So anything after that, I was all for, because I was excited for the new chapter. So I went to ASU, got one semester left, graduating next next May. I'm excited for that.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. And then I just started getting my certification to be a trainer, and then you got some jobs along the way, and now I'm on my own in my own little business, doing my own in-person training and online stuff. Joey got me on Twitter. Shout out Joey.
Shout out Joey. On Twitter. I love you on Twitter, man.
Dude, I love seeing you on my timeline. So it's just really crazy. I just really feel like I went from my lowest moment, being really closed off, to then just doing what was best for me, putting myself first, letting God in, and just seeing everything flourish as a byproduct. You know what I mean? If I never left UCLA, I never would have met Joey. So it's just crazy how it all works out.
Man, that's amazing. All right, we're gonna get into Joey here in a minute, but I got to go back to this point of, that 6-month period. I'm sure there was many days where you kind of felt like quitting. You had self-doubt. I'm sure. What kind of kept you going and kept you moving forward? Was it kind of maybe the childhood that had developed you, these good habits you were starting to develop, or what kind of got you through that period onto now you're kind of walking in your dreams, right? Every day you're kind of getting to do what you want to do and create this sort of life that you guys want to create, which is amazing. But it probably took a lot of work back in those points where you necessarily didn't feel like it, right? To get there. So can you kind of talk about that period a little more, if you don't mind?
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to those seasons that you're talking about. I'm a firm believer in seasons too. I went through that season in that 6-month period, and it's hard in the moment to understand it's a season, but in retrospect, you look back and you're like, okay, this is a season. And I'm trying to narrow the gap between, identifying while it's happening. But I just honestly, I'm a very organized and structured person. I just had a to-do list, and I woke up a lot of days not wanting to do it, but not wanting to do anything. But if I can just get the basics down, if I can just do 5 to 10 things, that'll just tick me and get me a little bit closer to where I want to be. Like, I know that seasons will pass, but if I can just keep my actions consistent, that's going to make me come out on the other side, having learned from it and grown from it. So during those 6 months, I was just kind of like gritty. I spent a lot of time alone, and I was very structured and very routine. I would get my workout in. I would, get my work in. I would get my schoolwork in, and just like I stuck to a routine. I tried my best. I know it's hard, but I tried my best not to I tried to give myself some grace, because, it's a big change. Anyone who goes through a big change, it's not just going to automatically be better. So I just tried to give myself some grace, understand this is a season, just keep showing up. Like, whatever you're going through, just whatever season, just keep showing up. The moment you quit and you cave and you give in and you stop when things are hard is the moment that everything, you start regressing, regressing, as long as you keep showing up, that's progress to me. One of my favorite quotes, and that got me through my really bad time at UCLA, or not my bad time, but just showing up is 80% of it. I believe that showing up is just 80% of it, and if you can just grit out that 80%, show up, like, you're going to be much better off and just come out on the other side. So,
man, that's powerful. Anybody listening to this right now, and I'm sure the right person is going to be listening to this right now that's supposed to hear this, is, listen, what you said is so powerful, because, you got some goals down on paper every single day, and whether you felt like it or not, you just kept moving forward. And I'm sure there are days where you couldn't sprint, so you ran. Days you couldn't run, so you walked. Days you couldn't walk, you're crawling. You're just
still lapping those on the couch.
That's right. You just keep going forward, and that breakthrough is coming. And you're a living testament to that. That's just so amazing.
Oh, appreciate that, Tyler.
So proud of you I love that word, grit, too. It's one of my favorite words.
Me too. Me too. Me too. It's one of my favorite books. One of the favorite books that inspired that, when I read Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And that book is just like so gritty, it's just like, really, your boundaries are so much farther than your mind, like, you even know. Your mind
always puts first. It always tells you to just go do the comfortable thing, to stay in the comfortable bed. And that's where you got to start to own your mind a little bit and tell it to his boss,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I love that book. I really like that book. That was a pivotal book for me.
Well, can we kind of move into then a little bit about, your recent engagement with Joey?
Yes, I would love that. Ooh.
Moving into the party. Oh, let's see.
There we go, everybody.
For anybody who hasn't watched, Joey's one of my previous guests a few guests ago. We're running a joint retreat here in a couple months. I absolutely love this guy. He's one of my all-time favorite brothers in life. And now you're my favorite couple. So can you kind of tell us how you guys met? Just give us that story a little bit.
Yeah, it's such a cute little story. It's just so innocent. So one of my friends that I played softball with at UCLA, her name's Paige. We went and played pickleball one day. It was during quarantine. Everything shut down. Like, you have all the free time in the world. So we were like, let's go play pickleball. And her brother brought his group of friends too. And Joey was a part of one of those friends. And so we were all playing out there playing pickleball, and he was good, like better than me. And so I was like, oh my God, this is not okay. Like, not okay. So me being competitive, him and I just kept going back and forth. And I wanted to play someone that was good, because I want to get better. And so we just kept like playing, competing, we got a little flirt going on. And we were just like, sitting off to the side and talking away from everyone. And then, we get in the car, we go our separate ways, and I'm talking to my friend Paige. I'm like, who is that guy? Like, dang, who is that guy? And then I didn't know it, but Joey was talking to his friend. I'm like, who is that girl? And so we didn't end up seeing each other for 3 months, like, because Joey didn't have any social media at the time. So I'm over here like Googling him. I'm like, where is he? I'm like, everyone's like, if you can find him on social media, you can find everyone on social media nowadays. But I couldn't find him. I was like, who is he? Like, what the heck? And little did I know he's doing the same thing to me, Googling my Instagram profile. And of course he found something, lucky, but he ended up getting my number from my friend Paige and asking me on a little coffee date. And we went on that little coffee date, and the rest was history. Started dating like a week later. Week after that, we said, I love you. And, about a year later, and now we're engaged. So it was really innocent and cute. Something I love about our story is we genuinely had to get to know each other from ground zero. Like, we had no background on who we were, no mutual friends, it was really cool. I really enjoyed that.
That's so awesome. And I love watching you guys' relationship. I knew right away, like, just from knowing Joey, even before I got the pleasure of meeting you guys in Arizona, a little while back, but like, just the way he talks about you, I can tell like he just treasures you, and I can tell it's mutual. You're always leaving each other, little notes. Like, it just reminds me a lot of what me and my wife have been able to cultivate over our, 8+ years together, and how we just kind of continue to encourage each other, promote the best us. Can you kind of share with everybody, like, maybe some of you and Joey's daily routines, or, you do date nights or plan these things out, or what do you guys do? Maybe some best tips for couples out there.
Yeah. Oh, we try and do a date night at least once a week. That's a non-negotiable for us. Even if it's not a dinner, we try and, go out to dinner, dress up nice. But even if it's not that, we're like, okay, let's go to the park, no phones, let's go on a walk, no phones, or just like little things like, let's sit out on the patio and, just eat our dinner together, and just like really making time for like quality time. We understand each other's love languages. Mine's, physical touch, quality time. Thankfully his is the same. So understanding your partner's quality time. And it's just so important to not get caught up in all the worldly things, like your partner, that's your person. Like, nurture that relationship, because without that relationship, all these worldly things aren't going to be appreciated, like love and, happiness and sharing your life with someone is what's going to fulfill you, not all these worldly things. So just, leave them a little note, buy them the flowers, just leave them a little voice memo, or, just I love putting little sticky notes when he gets in the car, or just bringing them a little coffee, or just small things, to just really put in that effort. The small things are my favorite things. I would take a walk, like a quality time walk with Joey, over like a nice fancy dinner any day.
Yep. I feel you so much on that. We have sitters come, and I'd say continue to do this even when you guys have kids, because that's one thing I think me and my wife fell victim to when we started having a bunch of kids and started having, and then, career, kids, all these things. We didn't prioritize each other for a couple of years, and we kind of lost each other in there. And so, I always tell people that when you start to have kids and that craziness starts, just no matter what, always. Now we hire a sitter and we just take a walk together. Like, we literally pay.
I love when you guys say that.
We just take a walk, and it's like
so awesome.
There's no, like you said, nothing more important. I wouldn't trade her for anything in the world. She's my person, and so we need to continue to cultivate that, and not just make it a, transactional relationship. Did you do this? Did you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something we've taken so many takeaways from you and your wife's relationship, hire the sitter. That's something we're for sure, because without you two strong relationship, there is no almost family element to it, like your kids look up to you in your marriage, and like they watch you, and if you're not nurturing what you two are doing, that's going to trickle down into them.
It's so cool because our daughter's 6 now, and we tell her like, hey, it's so important for mommy and daddy to be in love that, we have a sitter coming for you, because mommy and daddy need time just for us to be in love. And like,
yeah, absolutely.
Gets it now, like it's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah. And I think so many people get it wrong. They're like, they think it's kids, career, then each other, it should be you, God, you, then you two, and then your kids, and then career. You know what I'm saying? Just,
Yep.
It should like overflow, overflow from God into your relationship with each other, overflow from your relationship, then down into your kids. And then from there, then you can give to your career,
I couldn't agree more. And this is a perfect segue, because I do agree God in the center, and then it all kind of works from there. But one of the happiest days of my 2021 was the day that your fiance just said, hey, Ty, can I chat with you for a minute? And I was on a walk with my boys, and I remember I said, of course, man. So he calls and he's like, me and Kelly are going to church. Can you send over some praise songs? I really think I like this Jesus thing. I
didn't even know that.
I was literally, I'm not even kidding. I called my mom. I called my sister. I was so pumped about it, because I've known for a while, and I prayed for Joey, and I knew that you guys were going to have this really big mission. And I really believe you're just getting started, And so I knew that the kingdom work is just going to be massive here. And can you talk a little bit about you guys' faith journey? I know you're still in your church clothes. I just got back from church myself. But,
Shout out Joey for getting me this jacket for Christmas. But wow, one of the most special things we've done was definitely make the decision to kind of go into this faith journey together. I think it's made our relationship so much stronger, and it's just so cool to go through together. Like we're still learning. Like we don't know what the right steps are, but we just, we've started praying together, reading the Bible together, going to church together. I'm really proud of us for being so consistent with church. I think people are like, oh, I'll just go at Christmas Eve and, whenever my mom wants to go. But we've really made a commitment to, go to church and, buy in and just open our hearts to this. I don't want to go through life alone. That's why I kind of that's why I let God in. I don't want to go through it alone. I don't know how, so just like, it's been an incredible journey, and just the fulfillment I've had, and just seeing how he's worked, even when I've always believed in him, but I didn't devote time to him week in, week out. But once I did, you can really see in retrospect how he works for you and moves in your life. Like there's like just how Joey came into my life, that was God working, or how I quit softball, like that was God working just to get me on my path, and if you really put your faith in him, he's not gonna leave you. He's gonna get you where you need to be, and he's gonna get you where you want to be in places you can't even imagine, and so like, if you can just, why wouldn't you want to praise him for that? Like, why wouldn't you want to like devote your time and energy to that? It feels so good to believe in something and to just like worship something greater than yourself.
Yeah, that's so beautiful, right? I've got chills right now. It reminds me a lot of that song, Miracle Worker. Have you heard that? Like,
Waymaker, miracle worker. I love that one.
Like even when we're not like feeling him, he's working. He's in the background working, and I feel like he used even a lot of your harder, negative, more quote unquote learning experiences to toughen you, to strengthen you, to prepare you to now be able to pour into other people and help them through those things. And when I look back on my life through the hardest parts of it, divorce or substance abuse issues or alcohol, whatever that might be, he was even there in those hard times, even when I rejected him, when I wouldn't let him in. And I think
that's the beautiful thing. Like he was there when I didn't even know he was there, I'm so grateful. Like he put me through my childhood, and he just showed me, like he put me through like the worst of the worst, because now I'm able to overflow from the best of the best, and I can be the best mom because I know what it was like to just not have one, and so it's just been unreal. I'm just so grateful the way he moves. And that's why, I've struggled a lot with anxiety, and I've just like really been working on just like letting go, like giving it to God. Like if you would have told me this time last year where I was going to be this year, I wouldn't have believed, like I wouldn't have known, I wouldn't have guessed it. And so that's why it's really like, just trust God, because he'll get you to where you want to be, and stop worrying about it, like just stop worrying about it. Stop getting anxiety about it. He's already worked out what you're worried about.
It's amen. He goes before us. I always think that he knows the future, and he prepares the way before us. It's just up to us to get up, say thank you for the new day, and walk out that mission, which is so cool. Beautiful in what you guys are doing. One thing I want to touch on there too is, you guys said, well, I don't have it all figured out. We're just kind of showing up. And again, it goes back to even what we were talking about before. You just keep showing up, whether that's faith, fitness, your business, a side hustle, your relationship, whatever that is. None of us have the answers, Yeah,
I was just talking about this today. Like, we're human. Like, none of us know what we're doing. Like, There's no roadmap for being human. Everyone's on their own path. There's no like, you do this and everything's going to be okay. Like, we're all just figuring it out,
Yes. Amen. And I love to see you guys just keep showing up. I always say that there's two things I've never regretted. It's going to the gym and going to church. I've never left either one of those two places and been like, I wasted my time. I shouldn't have gone.
Right.
Right. If I know anything in my life, those are the two places I'm going to keep going.
It's so funny. And then so many people just like keep them at arm's length. I'm like, just let it in. It's just, you don't even know what it's going to do for your life.
Yeah. And anybody out there that might be listening and saying, I don't want to touch all that faith stuff. Again, Eddie Lowen challenged me about a decade ago. He said, just say one prayer every day. God, if you're real, show yourself to me.
Yeah, that's actually what I used to do. I used to wake up in the morning and I'm like, okay, God, where am I going to see you today? And it could be as simple as like, there'd be a parking spot waiting for me at the grocery store. And I'm like, thank you, God. I needed that.
Miracles are there every day if you're on the lookout for them.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people get caught up too. Like, God is associated with, it has to be associated with religion. Like, you don't have to fit under a certain title to have a relationship with God, it can come in all different shapes and sizes. Just believing in that there's someone up there that's greater than you and that's there to humble you is, I think, the most honorable and important part.
Mission bigger than yourself is the key to fulfillment in my eyes. That's beautiful. I love that. Well, can we talk a little about your coaching? And I want to say first too, I'm going to link everything Kelly does below, her Instagram, her Twitter, anything else you want me to link below, send it over, but definitely check her out. She's just a fantastic follow across all social. She provides a lot of free and great content. So please check her out and follow her across all social.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Talk about your clients and talk about kind of that process and now how you get to pour into women and other people every day.
Yeah. Oh man. So I have in-person going right now, and I love doing that because it's just like these women are coming to you, especially women, like our bodies. Like, I grew up with an eating disorder. I grew up thinking that I had to be as small as possible to have the most worth, or to think that was me at my best, when in actuality, that was the most unhealthy I'd ever been. I was undernourishing myself. I didn't see worth in the mirror. Like, I was trying to be as small as possible, thinking that was better, and, under eating, over exercising. What I thought was healthy was just making me the most unhealthy version of myself. And so being able to help women go through that and just change their life and change their whole perspective, to see health as this beautiful thing that's just there to enhance your life. Like, at the end of the day, it's about moving your body and feeling good. So many people think it's about like, it's like torture. I'm like, this isn't torture. This is like the best thing it can make you feel like. So that's really just been incredible. Just being able to work with these women and just see how they just not only transform physically, just transform internally and mentally. You just see the mindset shift. They go from thinking they have to be on the cardio machine 24/7, eating like salads, to lifting PRs. And we're doing like heavy sets of 5 reps. And it's just like, they're just beasts. It's so awesome. And in the process of it, you grow this such unique relationship with them, like you become their mentor, but you become also their friend. You grow relationships, and it's just like, I'm doing what I love, and I'm just like hanging out with my girls, it's just so awesome.
It usually takes me about 2 or 3 weeks before I start telling my clients I love them.
Yeah, right.
Talking every day, man. I love these people. And
I know.
I can literally say firsthand that, when I was training with you and Joey and Mackenzie and Joel in Arizona, Kelly walks up to me. I'm doing Bulgarian split squats. And people had always told me like Bulgarian split squats are hard. They suck. And Kelly just walks, and I was like, yeah, they're not that hard. Well, Kelly walks up and she's like, Ty, little bit more forward, engage the, like just tweak
Put your foot.
I'm like, holy cow, I got to go down and wait. Like
that's another thing I'm
never doing
super
them.
passionate. That's another thing I'm super passionate about is form. They just see a lot of form being, it's so important, just for longevity. You don't want to get injured. You see so many people, people think deadlifts are bad for your back. It's not bad for your back. Bad form is bad for your back. And so, like people don't take the time to actually nail the form. And so that's what I love. People come to me with like knee pain, back pain, hip pain, and it's just because they've been doing it the wrong way. So then just showing them the right form, it's like a light bulb switches in their head and like all of a sudden they're pain free. And it's just like so cool to, just see that pain go away for them and just help them feel it where they're supposed to feel it, and just, it's really rewarding to help them on the form side of things too. I really enjoy that.
I definitely know that you know all your stuff because in a 6 or 8 months since, every time I do Bulgarian split squats, I think of you. I always think like, oh, this is where I'm supposed to feel it. It feels good now. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Props to you for doing them. Those are brutal.
They are definitely pretty brutal. Well, this is the point in the pod. I don't want to take too much of your time. I always do rapid fire questions. So I'm going to ask you 5 rapid fire questions. Just give us the first thing that comes to your mind so we get to know you a little bit more. What's the most impactful book you've ever read?
Can't Hurt Me, for sure. Or some Tim Grover book. I love Tim Grover too. Just what's his last one? Relentless, was that it? That was a great one. Tyler, listen to that. Relentless by Tim Grover. He was the coach for Michael Jordan.
Oh yeah, I've listened to so many podcasts of that guy.
Listen to his new books. Oh man, they're incredible. That's so awesome. Definitely it Can't Hurt Me though. I
love that. All right, what is your current PR on deadlifts and squats? And do you listen to music while you're doing this, or are you like Joey and you go no music?
I usually do listen to music. I put on, it depends on, sometimes listen to worship, rap, it just depends. But if I'm working out with Joey or I forget my headphones, I don't mind working out without headphones. I'm go with the flow kind of gal. But Deadlift PR 300 on sumo deadlifts. I know, I'm really proud of that one.
I like it.
I know. Back squat, I hit 245 for one. Easy. It should have gone for like 250. I'm really trying to get 250, 275, but
I think I saw that video actually of the 245 like a couple weeks ago, right?
So yeah, those are those. I'm still contemplating doing a powerlifting meet. I might do one.
That's awesome. Good for you. And then do you care if we touch real quick then on how you overcame a little bit? I wanted to get into that a little bit, but we've been flowing and going everywhere with, because you said for a while you almost battled the anorexia, is that right? And where you were, I saw a picture of you and I couldn't believe that was you. And now you're healthy and vibrant. And can you talk a little bit about that and how you got to that point?
Yeah. So I never say I was anorexic just because you would look at me and I would still look like relatively healthy. Like I was just really, really lean. Like I'm 143 pounds right now and I was about 117 pounds. So it was I was super underweight. And I think I used it as a coping mechanism. And I think a lot of people do who struggle with, eating disorders, they use it as a coping mechanism for some sort of trauma they experience. For me, it was my home life, my mom or my home life, however that was. I think I almost punished myself or like took it out on myself with like over exercising and under eating. It was like some sort of like fulfillment I got in like torturing myself and just like making myself miserable, like self-inflicting pain on myself. I thought that's what I needed to do. And in the process, I was just, miserable. It's just so crazy how you can look in yourself in the mirror and just totally not see what you look like. And so I struggled with that all throughout high school. Like freshman year, I was my lowest weight. Sophomore year, I was normal weight. And then junior year, I was back down. I was just so yo-yo-y. I was just couldn't find that balance that I searched for so long, and I'm happy to say I finally found that. And I also love working with women and trying to help them find that. But man, just eating disorder and habits like that are just they usually stem from something internal, and just addressing those demons, I think are really what's going to help you. Because at the end of the day, what I remind myself is the way you look is the least important thing about you. Like the way I look is not all, like I have so much more to offer than the way I look. If whether I'm 150 pounds or 110 pounds, I just have so much more inside of me than the external appearance. So just fueling myself and just, being happy is what I really came to understand,
Amen. I love that. And I think fitness should enhance your life. And
Yeah.
there's different seasons too. Like right now with 3 1-year-olds, man, I'm probably not going to be able to push as hard as I probably could have a year
Yeah.
ago, or I will in the future, a year from now. But it is, fitness enhances my life. That's what
Yeah, and it's all about the long run. Like you're gonna be doing this for the rest of your life. If a
100%.
couple years or a month or a couple,
Right.
like it's just about moving your body and enjoying
Yes.
that process.
Amen. My dad's about to turn 65, and he sent me his log from 2021. He ran 980 miles. He
Oh my God.
he sent me this whole list of how long he biked, over 500 miles. And he's super active. He's in pickleball leagues and things like this.
Wow.
Yeah, you want to be in it for the long haul, right?
Yeah, and also just your kids pick up on it. I want to be able to play with my kids and be able to move, and I want to be able to just bend down and pick them up and I just play with them on the swings. I want to be able to live my childhood again, with them.
Yes. Yeah. It's super cool. We have our in-laws here now, and they're in their 70s, and they'll still come hiking with us. They'll take walks around the neighborhood 5-6 miles every single day with our family. And
that's incredible.
It's so cool that they've lived a healthy lifestyle, and now they're able to reap the rewards and pour into their grandkids and stuff like that.
Yeah, it pays off.
Yes. All right. Next one. What's the best date you and Joey have ever been on?
This is so hard. Honestly, like my favorite date, I have 2 that come to mind. One was our second date when we got sushi and ice cream. And that was like the night I knew that I loved him. We went and laid under the stars. And we just listened to Tyler Childers and laid under the stars. We listened to Lady May. It was just so simple. We didn't say much when we were laying on the stars. It was more than enough. It was just so wholesome, and we never have our phones on our dates. So that was one that comes to mind. Second one that comes to mind is honestly just like the little things, like our little dates, like our after dinner walks, or lately in the mornings we've been waking up at 6 a.m. and going for a 6 a.m. walk when it's still dark outside and just like no one's awake. It's just us 2 on the road, and just like the little dates, cooking dinner together, just like driving places, go running errands together. Those are my favorite dates. Just the things that people miss.
I love that so much, man. I told all my friends and family after one weekend with Annie that I was going to marry her, and I would be 95 someday and still holding her hand. Like, I'm like, I 100% guarantee it, and like, they're all like,
love your guys' love.
After a couple dates, that? And I'm like, yeah, I do,
Yeah.
So I love that you were there too. Yep. All right. This question comes from your fiance.
Of course it is.
It's a shameless plug here too, but since we're running the retreat together, I told him, all right, Joey, I'll do it for you. Who can currently win at pickleball out of you two? Who's a better player?
God, I want to say it's me, but I'm just gonna put my ego aside. It's him. He's real good. He's a beast at ping pong. He's a beast at ping pong. So it's like a given. But you take us to the batting cages and we'll see who's a beast then. Definitely me. We went to the batting cages one time and he got smoked. So
you guys need a mini golf date to me and my wife do mini golf, and it's pretty good, actually. We're pretty competitive too.
Yeah, mini golf. We need to get out and play pickleball more. But
I'm gonna bring my pickleball when I come to Arizona here in like a month and a half. And then I didn't know, are you good at ping pong too? I love ping pong. So
I'm not very good at ping pong. Play Joey. Joey is incredible at ping pong.
He'll probably crush me, but it'll be fun playing.
It would be fun.
All right, last one here. What's one piece of advice that you would give to anyone listening today that maybe feels struggling, they're in a rut, they're kind of worn down, they feel like they don't know what that next step is? Or any piece of advice you'd give somebody like that?
Know that this season is serving a purpose. I always think about it like this is, if you're going through something hard, like this is happening for you. This is like a refinement. This is a refinement season. God is putting you through this season to bring you out and just help you grow through something. He's trying to teach you something. He's trying to refine you. He's trying to grow you. He's trying to push you to where you're meant to be. He's trying to push that needle, and it's going to be uncomfortable. This season might be uncomfortable, and he needs you to just show up. This is for you, and you need to just show up because he's going to do the rest of the work.
Amen. Amen. Fist pump. I'm grinning ear to ear. Like, thank you so much for coming on, Kelly. Your first ever podcast. It's an honor to get to chat with you and just get to know you more. Your story is so inspiring. And if people want to find you, or anybody wants to reach out to coaching, where should they contact you?
So Instagram, DM me, kelly.flynn, Twitter, Kelly Flynn with 4 N's at the end. And then if you go on either of my bios, you can click the link in the bio and there's my coaching application.
Awesome. I'll
And
link all those things below on this podcast.
yeah, I'll send you my coaching application after this.
Perfect. Awesome. I'll link that too.
Thank you so much for having me on. I seriously had so much fun talking to you. So
we'll get you on again too. We'll just make it a regular thing. I want to get you and Joey on together next time. Actually.
Oh, that would be so fun.
Yeah,
yes, I would love that.
Awesome. Well, I love you guys so much. I couldn't love you both more. And again, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. And just, you're so inspirational. And
thank you.
Let's get you up to 100,000. You got about 20,000 or so people following you on social now. Let's get a bunch more following Kelly, because everybody
bring the whole team up. Let's bring the whole team up.
That's right. We all win, right?
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for listening to Tyromper's podcast, No Limit podcast, episode number 15. This has been Kelly, Flynn, and myself. I'll link all my stuff below. Please subscribe to the channel. Give us a like. Helps out a lot. We got some more upcoming great guests coming on. And you guys just go be kind to someone. Be kind to yourself. Have the most blessed day of your life. And thanks for tuning in.
Love you guys.